The Taliban takeover Afghanistan could mean a return to radical Sharia law, as Afghanistan's first female pilot warns their rule may be even stricter than before.
We never thought this situation and the stories back in Afghanistan is going to repeat again. They're just waiting for America to evacuate completely, and then they are completely know that Afghanistan is under control, and they're going to start their violence and their laws, and it will be the same laws that they had 20 years ago, maybe even stronger.
Yes, now with Insight is the president of the American Islamic Forum for Democracy, Zuhdi Jasser. Zuhdi, good to see you. First off, there's reports now that Abdullah, the second in command since Ghani left with all this money, is negotiating with Taliban officials to have some type of coalition government. Should we see any hope in that?
Absolutely not. Make no mistake, Brian, the Taliban is Afghanistan's ISIS. So you don't negotiate with terrorists. These are folks that enslave women. They throw gays off cliffs and off of roofs. They commit marital rape. They want to bring Afghanistan back not only to what it was pre our intervention, but back to the 13th century in which there's torture and otherwise. And now they're going to do it with abandon. They're not going to have any limitations or any obstacles to doing what they want, because they know America doesn't have the stomach for the military fight, let alone the ideological one. And they're going to be backed by Iran and every other Islamist on the planet. So this is not the America I know. It is sad that this is the way we had to leave. It didn't have to be this way. You know, as a doctor, Brian, I discharge patients from the hospital all the time, and we have a discharge plan. You don't throw them off on a dime and just throw them out after treating them for years. And this is what we did, and this is the way America is going to be perceived, and it's going to make us weaker on the field abroad and also domestically.
Right. I mean, China's already made an announcement. Look, this is America. What America does for their allies, Taiwan, take note. And it's not even, you don't need to be in a think tank to hear that. They're saying it out loud. The first female mayor in Afghanistan feels like you do. Quote, I'm sitting here waiting for them to come. There is no one to help me or my family. I'm just sitting with them and my husband, and they will come for me, for people like me, and kill me. I can't leave my family anyway. Anywhere, where would I go? And Zuhdi, I'm seeing pictures now when people say, well, we're looking for a coalition government. We learn from our mistakes. I'm seeing pictures now from Herat with men being marched through the streets with hot tar on their face to a certain death. So we should really look beyond their words, is what your message is.
Absolutely, Brian. Remember, ownership is perception. Yes, we owned a lot of Afghanistan over the past 20 years, but we didn't have to own this departure. We could have publicly handed it off. Families like mine escaped persecution in Syria, Iran, wherever our families came from, to come to freedom in the West because America is a beacon of liberty. We don't abandon people that share our values, and yet that's the narrative that we leave with, that we've wasted. We turned on a dime, we left them and abandoned them. All the good that we did the last 20 years, the Biden fecklessness now has left and wasted because of lack of planning, lack of strategy. That's not the America that I know, that my family knew. And as a Muslim fighting for reform, I can't tell you what power this gives to our Islamist enemies that are trying to tell us that America is all conspiracy. They don't want to help Muslims. Boy, talk about the left feeding into the Islamist power structure. This is probably, this week, Brian, is going to be looked upon in the next generation. August 2021 will be looked upon a tipping point for the Islamists in American weakness and Islamist ascendancy.
Weak because we let two of the commanders who are now in charge of the Taliban, again, out of Gitmo. They never should have been let out. We let world pressure do that. And to show you how ridiculous the Taliban is with their extremists, they don't stand for anything. They would not have day one talks with China. China has over 1 million Muslims in concentration camps harvesting their organs for other Chinese military members, but yet they'll have talks with the Chinese. If they really cared about Muslims, they would actually be attacking that country, but they're not.
I don't know what's wrong with the left. The State Department won't meet with Iranian dissidents in Washington that are for democracy. The State Department now did this debacle in Afghanistan, have handed it to the most radical Islamists. Yep. As far as I see it as an American Muslim, everywhere I see around the world, the left is helping the Islamist theocrats who really share none of their values of feminism and freedom, etc. They don't, and yet they're letting them ascend because to them all they care is about weakness and being anti-right, whatever that is, rather than standing for values and letting American dignity stand tall.